Tomorrow is International Women's Day, and to mark the occasion, toy company Mattel is honoring 7 female leaders in STEM with their own Barbie dolls. Well, at least in their likeness. Among the featured women are the Bay Area Wojcicki sisters. Susan, CEO of YouTube and CEO of DNA testing company 23andMe, and Janet, professor at UC San Francisco.
All right, and for more, we are joined tonight by 2/3 of the Wojcicki sister trio, and it's great to have Anne and Janet.
Well, we brought my Barbie just to fill in.
Perfect, to represent. We appreciate that. Anne, let me start with you. How did you find out you were going to be turned into a Barbie doll? What does it mean to be recognized in this way?
It's so exciting. I had always been a fan of, the Barbie brand. It's something that, like, again, as kids, we played with it. My Barbie was very adventurous. We went through, we swam in milk cartons, and we, climbed trees, and we played in the dirt. And we were talking with Mattel about all kinds of ways, we can help encourage kids and toys to be involved with science. And they talked about this opportunity, and it was an incredible honor to actually be recognized as a Barbie, and to really inspire kids to realize they can be anything. And that's really the best part about all of this, is that we want to leverage the play and the toys and something as iconic as Barbie and say, you can be anything. And my Barbie absolutely loves DNA and wants to teach you all about it.
And Janet, what about for you? Because this really comes from this idea that science, that STEM is so important.
Yeah, I was super excited and, surprised on some level that there was, an effort to create Barbies in our likeness, but pleasantly surprised in the sense that, young girls, particularly in that under 7 age range, which is the demographic that Mattel is targeting, they tend to, start out with dreams of, I'm going to be an astronaut, a scientist, and then they drop those dreams. And to actually have Barbies that are, real life scientists, engineers, there's another one, I believe, who is a space scientist, a microbiologist. I mean, to actually have those as potential role models for very young girls is something that Mattel and Barbie is hoping to use to kind of close this dream gap, which is the gap that young girls, where they actually stop dreaming, stop believing that they can become these scientists, these engineers, these STEM figures. So it was very, very exciting to actually be part of that for me as an epidemiologist, as a scientist.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And speaking of role models, Anne, let me turn back to you and ask you how this all started for you. I mean, who was it that inspired you to go down this particular career path?
Well, the nice thing is we were lucky to have parents who were, very supportive of us pursuing science and pursuing actually any of our passions. But our father's a particle physicist, and, brought us to all of his meetings, and we'd be surrounded by individuals. And there was always this sense that, you can do anything. Like, what are you interested in? And I always found molecular biology and just the absolute complexity of inner workings within your body to be fascinating. Every night I would go to bed and think about all those systems that are going, continuing while I sleep, and like, what are they and how can I understand them? And as I would talk about that with my father or with my mother, my best friend's parents, Ron and Shosh Levy, they are scientists at Stanford. Like, they really inspired. And Shosh Levy, a Stanford professor who, was a professor. She had a lab. Like, it was just, a role model who showed me that you could be anything, and that science was for men and for women. And it never occurred to me that, there was any kind of limitations about what I could do.
Yeah.
And Janet, as we wrap up this conversation with both of you tonight, what is the ultimate goal here? I mean, you talked about wanting to inspire young people, but we all know that Women's, History Month is going to come to an end. International Women's Day is going to pass. But boy, it really is the hope here, I assume, that this will have some sort of lasting impact.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that the more that we can have these types of, actually real life role models for young girls, and role models that young girls can actually, that they see themselves in. I think that's why it's so important, right? That we're having actually the Barbies. It's not necessarily the Kens. I mean, not that the Kens aren't important, but right, that it's women, that it's girls, like young girls can actually see themselves in, in our faces, in our likeness. So I think that the more that we have examples in the real world, and actually going into, the stores, the fact that these are, toys that young girls can play with. So not just something in the abstract. I think the more that we have examples like that bring science closer to home. Hopefully even though the month will close, this will be something that will be a year-long trend for young girls.
Yeah, hopefully it continues to have an impact. Really an incredible honor, and it's an honor to speak with both of you tonight. We appreciate you taking the time. Ann and Janet Wojcicki, thank you for doing it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care. And if you'd like to let us know about women in your life who deserve to be recognized, just scan